last time.
4, 3, 2, 1. CTS, pop culture. We're back. It's been a long break because of Jace. He's been canceling all the time. It's so weird. Every single week I say, Jace, please, I want to do the podcast. I think I made this exact same joke last time.
I think we make it every time there's a break.
Time because it's always Jace that is canceling.
That's funny.
Yeah. So we're back. We've had some big occurrences in the last month, including but not limited to the premiere of The Batman, Moon Knight, DC League of Super Pets. Just kidding. I don't even know.
Wait,
if
is that
came
out?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I was just trying to think of a funny. Sonic 2.
Morbius. We can talk about that even though we haven't seen it.
We'll start with The Batman since that kind of chronologically occurred last. We had a fun experience, courtesy of me, where we went, like 2 days before it premiered?
Yeah, 2 or 3.
To some
yeah.
IMAX fan screening thing. Got a cool little comic book.
And the Batman was there. Do you remember?
And Robert Pattinson
he was there
with a souped up like Batmobile, little motorcycle spider thing. Kind of cool, kind of fun.
No, but yeah, Henry has a interesting take on this movie that I'm excited to have shared with our audience.
You go first since you have kind of the common opinion.
So my common opinion is this. I enjoyed the film. If I had to give it the Jace score, which is a term I coined recently. So if I had to give it a Jace score, it'd probably be somewhere around an 8.3, 8.4 range.
Like 8.35.
If you're going to go there, I'd say 8.357. If we're going to get really specific.
5.76 or 5.77? Yeah, no, you have no idea what you're talking about.
So that's my Jace score for this movie. I liked it. There are delusional DC fans. There's like a segment of them that are very, very, very delusional and it's very biased.
A segment that's like, we haven't gotten anything good for so long that
besides Peacemaker,
the second we get anything good, we have to just like, it has to be the best thing ever, and we have to stick to calling it the best thing ever.
Well, yeah, and it's usually that segment of the DC fan base they hate Marvel movies or they're overly critical for no reason, which I'm probably a little bit biased towards Marvel. I think I just prefer the movies.
Yeah.
But that being said, I liked the film. I thought it worked well. I really liked Robert Pattinson in it. I liked the villain. I thought that there were a couple instances of Henry's leaving. So monologue time. I thought there were a couple instances where I was a little bit lost as far as plot goes, as far as story continuation goes. But overall, I liked the characters. There were a few things I would have changed about the... Ooh, what's that?
It's our Batman comic.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, these are cool cases that they have for comic books. Those are really cool, actually. These are the comics we got.
It's a cool, like, special long Halloween. It's long Halloween, but an edition that's it's specialized for the Batman. Pretty cool. Pretty fun.
That's neat. Comic books would be a cool one to collect if you could.
They're really expensive though.
Really?
They're pretty expensive. Yeah, but yeah, big fan of that.
So my dad had a bunch of like 80s comics.
Yeah.
Like super old, but the thing is, some of them were worth a lot of money, but they're so beat up. If you don't take care of them from like the day you get them, they're worth nothing, right? It's sort of like Pokemon cards are the same, right? Where if they're just beat up, they're worth nothing, right?
Nothing. I mean, I think this is totally off topic, but like a PSA 4 base set Charizard, the first edition, like Shadowless base set Charizard, the one that like went crazy, like 500,000 for the PSA 10. And PSA 4 is not, a lot of people I think on that ranking system like, okay, 4, it's below 5, that must mean it's bad. 4 is good condition, is labeled good. It's not until you get to 1 that it's poor.
Really?
Poor condition. Yeah.
And how much is a 4 worth?
Like $2,000.
Wow. So we're talking about like a 2500x multiple.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's wild. But
Anyways,
yeah.
going back to the Batman, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I came in with a little bit high expectations because watching the trailer, it was probably the best trailer I've seen for a superhero movie that I can think of, besides maybe the new Doctor Strange trailer.
Yeah, that's funny.
just,
it got upstaged pretty quick.
Yeah, which is weird, right? Because wouldn't you agree? That Batman trailer was
I liked
sick.
it.
So I liked the movie. I'm not to the point where I won't even compare it to The Dark Knight because that's my favorite superhero movie. And I mean, Christian Bale and Heath Ledger, I've never seen better performances in any superhero movie ever. So I'm really biased in that respect. But I also thought that there were some things with this movie that I was like, that's a little weird.
Yeah.
For example, in my opinion, it would have been a cooler storyline for the Riddler to be like a serial killer.
And
I thought
really lean into that.
really
aspect
lean
of
into the
it.
serial killer stuff, maybe leave out some of this like political motivation, but I think the political motivation stuff will be cool if they do it in the second movie, like just further into this corruption of the government. I think that'd be cool, but I thought it would have been cool if they made the movie rated R. I'm a sucker for rated R movies just because you can see a little bit more stuff that I find interesting, like violence. I don't know. It's entertaining. I thought it would have been cool if they leaned into that a little bit more. But other than that, I thought it was fine. The only big storyline plot issue that I had was at the end when Riddler is talking to like his online Reddit group fan base, and he's, telling them, "Yo, hello, my 600 followers. There's so many of you."
It was
I have
so
that many
funny
followers on
because
TikTok.
it was 500 followers, and I think there was 20 people on his live stream.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like normal people. Normal people have that many followers and people that engage with their live streams. It was a little bit of a weird nitpick that
Yeah.
I think we both called out.
But here's what everyone's been waiting for. This is Henry's take. It's very original, very different.
It's probably the best take I've ever heard in my life. But that's a dog. Wow. Okay, here it is. So the movie had a runtime of like 180 minutes. So this is going to sound a little crazy, but I almost felt that it was rushed. And I'll explain why. Because it introduced so many different aspects. Like it tried to pull from so many different kind of areas and do so many different things that I almost felt like, while I liked all of the things they tried to do, I really liked the chemistry between Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz, the kind of almost Godfather style mafia story, the serial killer kind of in the vein of Zodiac, all of those things. I mean, there was a little bit of like a police procedural type vibe with the stuff with Gordon. All that stuff was good, but I didn't feel like I got enough of each individual part. Like some of the stuff, and the one I specifically called out because I felt it was very glaring, was the kind of love story between the romance between Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz, where it was like they met, and then they kind of, all of a sudden there was like romance there, and then you go to the end of the movie and he's like, oh, maybe I should give up Batman to go with her, and then, oh no, I can't, I have to protect the city. And so it didn't feel like that. It didn't feel fleshed out enough. And I think it was like that in a lot of aspects, where there was the mafia thing, but then you really didn't see much of the mafia thing, where it was there, but it kind of didn't play a huge part. They could have just been other people. It didn't have to be the mafia. The serial killer thing, and you kind of brought this up, it was there, and there was some of that, and kind of the ciphers and the stuff they had to decode. But now he's kind of this political activist that is organizing terrorist attacks. So I don't know. And I liked it. I thought it was good, but I mean, nowhere close to The Dark Knight, nowhere close to that stuff.
Well, and we've talked about this before, but people saying, the Riddler is a better villain than Heath Ledger's Joker, or that you can't compare, other people saying you can't compare them because they're so different. It's like, no, and I don't even, I was telling you this, that's objectively wrong. I mean, Heath Ledger's Joker, how can you even say that the Riddler put on a better performance than Heath Ledger's Joker? That's almost universally accepted. That is like that is the premier villain in a superhero movie ever. I mean, that's like the premier
it's one
adaptation
of
of Joker.
Iconic performances ever.
Yeah.
Bar none. Not even superhero movie, right? And so, that was a weird one that people, I mean, I think I sent you the TikTok that the comments were saying, you can't compare these. They're playing different characters. Like, we don't actively compare completely different characters to decide who has a better performance with the Oscars every year. And we can talk about the Oscars a little bit later.
Oh,
we haven't talked about that yet. But so it's funny. It's really funny, and I liked it. I thought it was good, but I definitely had some criticisms of it and would not rank it. I don't know if I'd rank it maybe above Batman Begins. But
really
even then, I don't know if I rank it above that.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. I thought it was long. I had the same complaint about Dune, where I just don't think I have the patience for a 3-hour movie.
Yeah.
It starts to, once you get the 2.5 hour mark, I'm starting to like check my phone and be like, holy cow. Not because it's not interesting, but because I just don't think I have the attention span.
It's just like a little goldfish.
It's so much to take in. And you're just sitting there. It's like, I don't know. It's fine. I thought it was good. But moving on, do you want to hit Moon Knight or the Oscars first? Now that you've mentioned the Oscars, I kind of want to talk about that.
We kind of talked about gratuitous violence with Batman. We can transition over to gratuitous violence in the Oscars.
So, first
Coda
of all,
start with some positivity. Coda won Best Picture.
I haven't even seen it. Is it good?
I haven't seen it either.
Oh,
but
good.
I've heard great things about it. Really cool that most of the cast is deaf, which is really cool because that's like child of deaf adult is like CODA. That's what it stands for. So that's cool. The like best supporting actor, Troy Kotsur, he's deaf, and so that's some cool stuff. So that was one of the big things, was that it was too bad that kind of the other stuff that happened upstage some of those.
Before we talk about the big thing, who won Best Director? It was the woman. What was her name?
Jane Campion.
Okay. Did you
Power
see the
of the
video
Dog.
of her and Serena and Venus Williams? Did you see that video by chance?
Of her talking. Yeah, it was a weird one.
She's accepting her word, and she's like, I'm so happy to be around you, Serena and Venus. You guys are absolute champions of what you do. You're such a role model. But the difference is you guys compete against women. I compete against men. It's like,
It was weird.
That was kind of a
weird,
awkward thing to say. I mean, you're standing in front of two of the greatest female athletes of like all time.
Well, and it was weird because it wasn't like her movie was really competing against the movie they were there for, that King Richard movie. Is so weird.
Anyways,
Very
that was bizarre.
odd.
But not as odd as the big ticket item that we saw. That was like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That was is that up there with like your weirdest things you've ever seen on TV?
Yeah, Timothy
live?
Chalamet's outfit was Oh, hold on. We're talking about something
Oh,
else.
boy.
Okay. Obviously, Will Smith slapping Chris Rock was the big talk of the Oscars.
It's just like, I just don't understand it. I get that he made the joke, but I was telling someone about like this. I was like, he could have gone up there and just whispered in Chris Rock's ear, like, don't ever say that about my wife again.
Or not even.
It would have had so much more class.
And especially because he has to understand the industry. Chris Rock didn't write that joke.
Yeah.
There's
exactly.
a team of writers that wrote that joke, and Chris Rock's reading off of a teleprompter.
Yeah.
So it's weird to say. And so the thing is, right, so Chris Rock made the joke about G.I. Jane and Jada Pinkett Smith starring in G.I. Jane. And Jada Pinkett Smith has alopecia, which is kind of you lose your hair. And she's talked about it publicly before. But I don't think it's too crazy to assume that Chris Rock had no idea.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even if the joke was insensitive, which I'm not gonna offer any opinion on whether or not it was insensitive. I didn't find it funny, but I just think that's because most of the Oscars humor is
like
not
award
funny.
show. Yeah, award show humor is never that funny.
Yeah, but so I won't comment on whether or not I found it insensitive. But even if Will Smith found it insensitive and he wanted to stick up for his wife, even if you wanted to walk on stage and just whisper in his ear, "Don't say that ever again," and then just walk back down, it would have had so much more class. Like,
well, and it's not like they're like, they're both established stars that I'm sure have a way to communicate kind of privately afterwards. It's not, and it didn't even seem that beyond the pale of what jokes get made usually at award shows, and jokes that had been made that night.
dude, what's the comedian's name? The English guy that has hosted the Oscars a bunch before.
Ricky Gervais.
Dude, his jokes are completely insane.
He makes
at
crazy
previous
jokes.
Oscars, it's been way worse.
He usually hosts the Golden Globes.
The Golden Globes, that's what it is.
But I mean, even that night, like I think Amy Schumer made some joke about somebody's medical condition. I saw it was, and so I don't know. It's a very weird one, but the backlash has kind of been insane for it too. So it came out that Will Smith was asked oh, well, hold on. We still got to stick with the night. Not only did Will Smith go up and slap Chris Rock, 10 minutes later, he won the award for Best Actor.
And got a standing ovation.
Went up and made a speech where he basically said, "Love makes you do crazy things. I'm a protector." Kind of trying to justify his action almost. He doesn't apologize to Chris Rock. I think he might have said like, "Oh, I'm sorry to the Academy" or something like that. But so wins Best Actor, then goes back, stays the rest of the ceremony.
And to make sure we got the timeline right, before that happens, when Will Smith sits back down, he yells, "Keep like my wife's profanity. Name out your blank mouth."
Yeah.
Loud.
Multiple times.
Screaming.
Yeah, so I saw somebody that was it was some TikTok person that was at the some like social media influencer that was at the Oscars. So of course they were like way back as far away as you can get, and they said we could hear it from where we were in the stadium. So the arena.
Imagine how quiet it was.
So yeah, I mean, and you see some of the faces of the people behind. Lupita Nyong'o is sitting behind, and you can see her face, and she goes, "Whoa." You can totally tell she's super uncomfortable. So, I mean, I spent that entire night going, "Is that real? I don't know if that's real." I thought it was staged.
When I first saw it, I thought it was staged too.
Because like he slaps him, Will Smith like walks back and is kind of smiling, and it didn't seem like it could be.
Well,
real.
And when
it's
it first cuts to Will Smith after the joke, he's laughing. Right.
Yeah, and then it cuts back to Chris Rock, and he goes, "Oh, that wasn't even that bad," or whatever, and then all of a sudden, Chris Rock or Will Smith's walking up and slapping him.
The slap is weird too, because it was like an actual slap. He just like slapped him. Have you ever been slapped? I've been punched. I don't think I've ever been slapped.
It's a weird one.
Like,
and it's
the fact that he chose to, if you're going to throw your reputation and career away,
fair,
at least get a punch in there.
It's almost more disrespectful to slap, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's more,
that's
it's kind of in the vein of like the classic like duel thing where you like hit him with your glove or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know. I'm not going to, still objectively, not the response you should have to that situation, regardless of whether the joke was okay or not. So then, wins the award, whatever. It comes out a day or two later that the producers of the the CEO and president of the Academy asked Will Smith to leave after what happened, and he refused. He said, "No, I'm not leaving." That comes out, and then apparently it comes out that they asked him to leave, but then the producer of the show said, actually, like, you should stay. And then Chris Rock declined to press charges because the police were ready to arrest Will Smith for battery. And then, so that all happens. It comes out that the Oscars, kind of the board of directors or for the Academy, is having a disciplinary hearing to decide what next steps are going to be. And Will Smith comes out and says, I'm resigning from the Academy.
And I heard that disciplinary hearings are still going forward, right?
Yes.
So what are they going to do? Are they going to expel him and just say you're never welcome back? Or are they going to suspend him? Or what are they going to do?
They might do that now because now it feels like a lower barrier to entry that he's already left. And so now you really can do that without any, like, it was already going to happen anyways because he resigned. So you can say that. There's talk of him, like, losing his Oscar. Like,
have they ever done that? Have they ever taken someone's Oscar away?
I think so.
Really? For what?
Yeah, for some bad stuff. I don't know though. But yeah, so that's kind of where that stands now. I'm sure they have to have taken some.
So it says only one Academy Award has ever been revoked in the history of the Oscars.
Really?
And it was for a documentary that had been nominated in the wrong year.
Weird.
And then this is about Will Smith, and that goes on to say Will Smith could be the first real one.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, so which is weird because it's so hard with those because films are such a collective kind of thing. I mean, it's such there's so many people involved and way more than you realize that I put all that work goes into the film. So it's hard to take away an Academy Award that isn't for an individual. And I think there's definitely situations that they should have taken away Academy Awards. But I don't know. Regardless, so he could lose that. He could lose. So by resigning, he isn't eligible to vote for anything, isn't eligible to receive any awards. I heard, this is kind of conspiracy theory, people think that Jaden Smith, his son, is going to play Miles Morales in a future Spider-Man movie. And so he did this to try and help Jaden so that didn't, like, bleed down onto him.
They resigned.
Yeah, that's why he resigned. Which is an interesting one, right?
Dude, this whole thing, what a weird, that just feels not worth it to give your career away for something like that. Right?
Because it was pretty run-of-the-mill, like, award show joke.
Yeah, it was
nothing.
There
was no.
That was the weirdest part.
And you can argue about whether Chris Rock should have made the joke or should have not made the joke, but certainly to respond like that feels, almost unhinged. It doesn't feel like the response of somebody thinking logically at all. Because you have to. Well,
and to put this into context, this is after his wife has openly admitted to cheating on him.
Yeah.
And
it's weird stuff. And so, and you also just have to think, how many, so he laughed at the joke first, which, and I don't know, I'm hesitant to use that as, he was fine with the joke at first. What happened? Because
it could have been a laugh that, like, how many
times? Yeah, how many times have you been uncomfortable in a situation, so you laugh because it's just kind of uncomfortable, and the camera was on him for a second or two. But then, so you respond to the joke, you hear the joke, kind of process what it meant, because it wasn't like he, like, just outright came out and said, "Oh, you, like, I'm making fun of your alopecia, whatever." So you process that. You go, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to stand up, walk up to the stage, slap Chris Rock, walk back, and then proceed to scream twice, not once, but twice. So at every step of the process, you went, like, I'm going to do this. Like, you had all that time to kind of be like, ooh, I probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, it's just so weird.
And I can't believe how well Chris Rock handled the situation.
Well, you can see him go. He's talking. So he's like, "Oh, Will Smith just slapped me." And then he goes. And then like after I think the second time that Will Smith he's like, "Dude, it's just a joke. Like it's just a G.I. Jane joke."
Goes, "Keep my wife's
Yeah.
name." And then Chris Rock goes, "Okay, I will."
He's like, "I will." But then Chris Rock kind of goes, "Oh, I could."
Yeah.
Never mind. Like he was gonna air him out.
He knew and people think he had a joke about him.
Maybe, yeah. Who knows? But Chris Rock handled it like crazy.
His entire tour is sold out now.
Well, yeah. So before the Oscars, tickets to his show, because he did a show on Wednesday in Boston, I think. Tickets to his show were going for $40 a piece. After the Oscars, $400 a piece. 10x how much they were selling for. Totally sold out.
That's why I think some people feel it's like staged, like a publicity stunt between both of them. And I don't agree with that. Especially not like if you looked at it prior to what the Academy did and him resigning and a formal apology. But right after it happened, it's like, oh, that has to be staged.
Yeah.
It's just too weird.
But it's just such a even if it was staged, it'd be probably the worst kind of to not, because if it had been staged, I mean, that's so disrespectful to everyone else that's there to kind of take all the attention. Because if you didn't come out, like if you fake slapped him and then was like, "Oh no, just kidding, man," or whatever, and they were like, "Fine," then okay, they move on, like kind of funny joke. But to try and play it off, like I don't know, it's a crazy situation.
Well, people are saying it's like the Macbeth thing. Have you heard about like this Macbeth? Maybe you can explain it to me, because I looked it up and I didn't have like a full understanding of what it meant. But
So
have you heard about
the
it?
idea is that in a production, if you say Macbeth, that it like curses your play or production or whatever. And Chris Rock had like made a joke about that and like said Macbeth earlier in the show.
Really?
Yeah. And so people are like, "Oh," and like I don't know that anyone actually thinks that, but
It's just like
it's just a superstition type thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So, yeah, very funny.
Well, we can move on to
Transition on to
Moon
Knight.
So you said this was the best first episode of any Marvel series that you've seen. I would say it's definitely up there for me. The only one I could think of that might be better is Loki. But it's like a wash because they're really different. But I really liked it. I liked the soundtrack. The soundtrack was awesome. Really cool cuts. There's not a lot of times in Marvel movies where you see, someone dead and like blood like dripping out of their head.
Yeah,
we saw that in one of the scenes.
Yeah, and it's I liked, one of my favorite things about it is that, and it's something that I think the other Marvel shows have been criticized for, is the anonymous villain that we reveal in episode 5 and then it's resolved by episode 6 in the finale. Our first scene, the first person we see in the show is the villain for the whole series.
Yeah.
And how cool was that opening scene?
Remind me what it was. I'm thinking of
Ethan Hawke is sitting there. He's got the cup of water. He he's kind of sitting there meditating, spins his finger around it so it kind of like vibrates and makes a sound. He drinks the water. Okay, whatever. He's meditating, whatever. Flips the cup over onto this, like the kind of napkin type thing. Folds it up. Pulls out a hammer. Breaks the cup. Proceeds to put the broken glass in his sandals. And then step into his sandals with the broken glass shards in them and walk out. And that's our opening scene.
And see, I don't. You probably know more about Moon Knight than me, so I don't know the significance of that scene.
So it's really like nothing previously. I just think that's really cool. Like,
and the music too that was playing behind it.
The music was cool. It was it was a John Mayer. what's it called? Because he's like some sort of like a born again Christian or something, and it was kind of a song you wrote when he was like kind of like one of his most religious songs.
John Mayer?
Right? John
Mayer is the guy that says, he sings, I'm bold as love. What's his most famous song?
No, I think, but so look it up.
Okay.
Like Moon Knight first song, I'm pretty sure it's John Mayer. Because I'm thinking, who dated Taylor Swift?
It was John Mayer.
Oh, then I'm wrong.
John. Every Grain of Sand by Bob Dylan. Is that it?
Wow. Not even very close to John Mayer.
No, so yeah.
That's who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Bob Dylan though. But John Mayer came out of my mouth.
Gotcha. Yeah, he's the one that sings.
Yeah, Bob Dylan.
Waiting on the world to change.
Yeah,
we
Bob
can't
Dylan
sing that because we're going to get
copyright
striked.
Which is awesome on our 50 subscribers. We're going to get copyright strike.
That would suck. Can you imagine?
No, it'll happen.
It blows up. It blows up and like
copyright
by
strike.
the time we're at like 100 subscribers,
guys,
we have 2.
blow this up so that we can get copyright struck. But yeah, so I thought that was so cool. I loved the transition where he's Stephen Grant, kind of this like shy, timid dude, and his eyes roll up in the back of his head, and the screen flickers, and it flicks back, and he's back, and then just people are just dead around him.
Is Oscar Isaac? Is he American or British?
I think he's American.
So he has a good British accent.
What's funny?
That's rare, isn't it?
Do you think that's a good British accent?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I think it depends because
people were clowning on it. People
really?
were saying it was bad, which is weird because, like, granted, I'm not from England, but as we're both like soccer fans and follow teams in the Premier League.
Oh yeah, there's some English people that speak exactly like that. And there's different accents for the region of England, and he sounds exactly like one of the regions.
Yeah, so I don't know. I didn't have a problem with it. I do think a lot of people were just looking for things to complain about with
That's
this
like
series.
A really minute. That's just weird. That's bizarre.
But I saw it, so we can get on to another thing people complained about, the CGI in the episode, which I saw no problem with.
I didn't notice it until people started complaining about it. I literally did not notice. I'm not saying I didn't notice the CGI, but I thought it was just normal. I didn't think CGI, anything of it.
There wasn't anything just like kind of flagrantly bad, like the Black Widow, like the Black Widow one where she jumps off.
And like there's
that while I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, it took me out of the movie. I saw somebody give the first episode a 4 out of 10 because they said the CGI took them out of it so bad.
You would have to go into it looking for specific CGI details,
which is really wild.
And you would have to focus on the CGI so much that you don't even listen to what the characters are saying, what the story is telling. And even then, it's like, yeah, we can point out obvious CGI flaws. There's some movies where you're like, this is really kind of weird.
I didn't see any. And I think the one they're specifically complaining about is there's a scene where he's in the like cupcake truck, like running away from people.
What?
When he flips,
because the truck's not CGI.
It's stuff outside of the truck is CGI.
See, I don't.
But yeah, you can't. It's hard to tell. Like I had to go back and I was like, I guess I can kind of see the only scene is when it cuts back and the dude's sitting against the kind of sitting against the wall of the truck dead, and you can see the cars chasing him out from behind. I was like, okay, like that looks a little like. You can tell it's like not on the same plane. Like there's not the right kind of depth. Like, but that was after I went, okay, people are specifically talking about this exact moment. Like, can I go back and see what they're talking about? And I was like, I guess I can kind of see it, but it certainly did not take me out of the show at all.
Not only that, but if it did take you out of the show for the 30 seconds, you're gonna say that 30 seconds was the biggest aspect of whether or not you liked a 45-minute episode.
It's really weird.
What is 30 seconds of 45 minutes? That's what, like 2/90ths of the episode? Wait, no. It's like 1/100th of the episode, let's just say.
Yeah, like 1% of the episode had a little bit not great CGI and but was like the action was cool, the kind of what was happening at the time was cool, the dialogue was cool. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. It was weird for me that people were so upset about it.
It was. I did think if I had to offer one piece of criticism, it felt like it moved really, really fast for me from the time when, and it'll obviously once we learn more about the characters and everyone's role and how this all shakes out, it'll feel differently. But it felt like we kind of shook from this to this to this to this to this to this. But I don't know that.
And my response to that is I think that's very intentional, right? Because and this is having a little bit more knowledge of the kind of Moon Knight comics. Typically when they do Moon Knight in the comics, you are with Mark Spector, the kind of more assertive one that ends up like turning into Moon Knight, that's talking to him through the mirror. And this Stephen Grant character sort of exists in the comics, but in the comics he's more of a Batman, Bruce Wayne, like he's kind of Bruce Wayne, like philanthropist, billionaire guy, not this like kind of shy, timid thing. And so because I kind of see what you mean on the moving fast, but I think the point of it was we're with this Stephen Grant where it's moving at the speed of light for him too, right? Like
yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Like he doesn't know what's going on. He's flashing in and out of like, oh, like now he's in like some German field getting chased by gun people. But that's how he's experiencing it. And so we're following it. And so, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to see where the series goes.
I really hope they keep like the almost like horror theme.
Yeah.
Like when he like looks in the mirror and he doesn't notice, but it's
Keep
staring
looking.
back at him.
Yeah. Well, one part I liked, so there's the finale, right, where he's in the museum at night and he's getting stalked by this like werewolf thing. It's like
a skinwalker.
There's something like that. I don't know. But and then he's in the bathroom and he's like, the reflection is like, let me take over, whatever.
So cool.
Yeah. And then so he finally lets it take over, and then we cut to outside the bathroom, just in the hallway outside the bathroom. Stuff's getting thrown around, like a sink comes flying out. You hear all this commotion, and all of a sudden the werewolf thing comes clawing out, trying to get away. It's trying to escape, and then Moon Knight yanks him back in and just beats it to a pulp. That was cool.
This is a lot. Do you think we see like more of him, Avengers type, appearances, stuff like that, or are these independent series meant to be unconnected from greater Marvel?
So the producers have said this is the most unconnected of any of the previous Marvel series, and this is the first character that's been introduced in a series, right? Because every other series, you think you've got Loki, we knew like Loki.
Hawkeye,
WandaVision, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yeah. Right, that's it. So it's the first new character that hasn't appeared in films before that's like being introduced. So it'll be interesting. I don't think you get Oscar Isaac and then go, okay, you get like one season of.
How many episodes is it? 8?
6.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Wait, have we talked about Obi-Wan trailer?
Not yet. We can talk about that before because it hadn't come out when we.
Okay.
Last time we recorded.
So, dude, Duel of the Fates starts playing at the beginning, and I'm such a episode 1 is like in my top 3 Star Wars movies. So I just hear that. Oh, it brings back so many good memories.
It was cool.
So cool, dude. And we can talk about this in more specific detail. I feel like we talked about this. Now that I'm talking about it with you on the podcast.
But we've talked about a lot of because at that point stuff wasn't really coming out yet. And so we kind of, I think, spent a lot of time talking. But yeah, we can talk about what were you going to say?
Anyways, I thought it was really cool. The biggest takeaway, and this is, do you feel like when you read people's criticisms, like overly annoying criticisms of certain things, do you feel like that kind of sours it for you when you watch it again, or do you feel like I don't really care?
I usually don't care. Just because there's so much stupid criticism of everything that no matter how good something is, you're gonna find a large group of people that are like, oh, it was bad. Like I hated this. I hated this.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone was complaining about the Inquisitor.
Yeah.
And I saw a really good take on this the other day that I don't think I talked to you about. The Grand Inquisitor, I should say. And in Rebels, he, he's got a very slim face.
Thin, long face.
Yeah. He has a very Rebels style character.
Glowing yellow eyes.
Exactly. And in episode 3 of Revenge of the Sith, we see 30 seconds of him, and they resemble each other quite closely.
Not the Grand Inquisitor, though.
Not the Grand Inquisitor.
Another of the same species. Yeah.
And in this, this character, the Grand Inquisitor, has a much broader face, bigger facial features, and someone brought up the point that like they're the same species. Like we've seen how different two people from the same species can look. There's absolutely no reason that this guy that appeared in Revenge of the Sith, every one of that species has to look exactly like him.
And you look at the Twi'leks, like the difference in, Twi'leks we've seen.
Oh yeah,
right.
Huge.
It's just, there's like, yeah, it's a weird, and like, I don't know. I saw another cool one that people were complaining about his eyes not being yellow, and they were saying that they actually think that it might be because he doesn't like fully transition over to the dark side until this series.
Oh,
like
really?
where he gets like the Sith eyes. So then we see him in Rebels. Right, you know how Palpatine's eyes turn and Anakin's eyes turn to that yellow? That's like what the Grand Inquisitor has in Rebels.
You're right, because this is pre-Rebels.
Yeah, this is pre-Rebels.
Dude,
that'd be kind of cool.
That'd be kind of sick.
Kind of cool.
Oh man, it's gonna be so cool.
Yeah,
we're gonna be able to see Obi-Wan like looking after Luke. It'll be so interesting to see if they have to take Obi-Wan off Tatooine, right?
Well, we've already seen it in the trailer.
Where is he?
He was off Tatooine. It's a new planet.
Okay.
But
interesting.
Yeah, so it's gonna be cool. So May 27th,
dude,
that comes out.
Imagine we see.
And we're premiering with 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're giving us 2 episodes
that's
to start
gonna be
out.
awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, I want to see Qui-Gon. Ghost Qui-Gon.
Do you think?
So cool. I don't know. Liam Neeson has talked about it.
He wants to come back, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'd talk about it that much if he was in it.
Yeah, that's true.
So
we'll have to see. Anything else major? The Doctor Strange trailer. We haven't talked about that.
The trailer was cool. I think we did.
Okay.
I think we caught it
because
it was. Yeah, because I think we recorded like just after the Super Bowl.
Are you sure? Because I don't remember talking about the Illuminati with you over the podcast.
We definitely did.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. But either way, we've got Patrick Stewart back as Professor X and Doctor Strange confirmed. So that's going to be cool. That's May 6th, I think, is when it comes out.
Doctor Strange? Whoa.
It's soon.
It's like a month away.
Yeah, it's like a month away. Yeah.
I'm so excited. He's my favorite superhero.
That's going to be sick. Yeah, I think we both agree that that's like probably our favorite.
He's cool.
Yeah. Okay. Want to run some trivia?
Oh, yeah. Okay. If anyone remembers, I won last episode. Just putting
it was kind of a weird one, though, right? Because we established that we were going to go like 2 each was kind of our rules we established. And we got through 2. And I think
it was a tie.
It was tied. And then Jace goes, oh, we have to do another one. But it's whatever.
I love coping.
Okay. I'll read first. Okay. The child, 1 point. How do you come to possess the Darksaber? A, winning it in battle. B, finding it. C, being gifted it. Okay. What color are Dark Trooper's eyes? A, green. B, black. C, red.
They're red.
Yeah.
Okay. Good gosh. What is the Mandalorian's name?
Din Djarin.
Wow. Okay. Third one was Dean Dune.
Dean Dune.
What is the one thing the Darksaber cannot cut? Pure silver.
It's
rock,
Beskar.
Or pure Beskar.
Pure Beskar.
Correct.
Okay. Which droid returned alongside Luke Skywalker? A, C-3PO. B, BB-8. C, R2-D2.
I didn't hear the first part. Say it again.
Which droid returned alongside Luke Skywalker? A, C-3PO. B, BB-8, C, R2-D2.
R2D2.
Yeah. This is dumb. Okay, true or false? Mandalorians are a race.
That's true. They're the Mandalorian race. Yeah, it's true.
False. They're a creed. Which, so think about it. So I was like, this is dumb because obviously it's true. But they're not, right? Because like Din's a foundling, right? Din came from an entirely different planet. Like you can become a Mandalorian afterwards. That's not a race.
I think they literally call it the Mandalorian race in Clone Wars. It's the Mandalorian people.
No, because if there can be foundlings, right? It can't be a race.
That's an interesting one. I don't know if I agree with that. Okay, true or false? Dark troopers are true or false? Dark troopers are organic forms of life.
False.
It's true. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I was like, what?
What creatures does Quill say the Mandalorians' ancestors rode? Mythosaurs, crate dragons, or mudhorns?
Mythosaurs.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, easy win. No, just kidding. That is kind of a weird one.
That's a weird one for sure.
That was my first response was like, this is a stupid question. It's obviously true. And then I looked at the answer and it was like false. And I was like, oh, I guess that like technically like kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, let's call it.
All right, CTS podcast.